ma'am, yes.
So today's topic of discussion, as I have said, my screen is visible, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Is my screen visible now?
Yes, madam, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today's topic of discussion is how to write a research paper. As I already told you that there are various forms of writing. General writing, casual writing, and then there is something which is called as research paper writing. So research paper writing is something which is logical. Research paper writing is something which is rational. Research paper writing is done always with some objective or some purpose, and at the same time research paper is something wherein we as a author or I as a writer is going to make some point or going to place some form of argument which I want to address to my readers, wherein I want to put forth what I am thinking about on this particular topic. So when I proceed further with this thought, then certainly I am getting myself involved in research paper writing. Otherwise it's a casual writing, which we, although many a times we do, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly, but if that is not done in an organized way, then certainly we cannot call it as a research paper. So first understand, like when we say research paper, so it has a rationale behind it. Okay. The next thing is, I would like to begin here with Benjamin Franklin's statement: either write something which is worth reading or do something which is worth writing. And in both ways, we know that a quality content is there. Okay. So unless and until there is a quality in your work, nobody is going to read. Unless and until there is something which is of lot of content, nobody will write about it. So we have to see that when we talk of research paper, it has to be based on quality. Content quality is very, very important. If the quality is not there, or if it is like, okay, ma'am has said be very rational about it, logical thinking, etc., etc., we did, and then you started writing. But if the content is not there, then certainly nobody will read that paper. See, my dear participants, writing a research paper is not the only agenda, but see, you have to see to it that your research work should reach to those who are part and parcel of that particular topic, or who are, you can say, the stakeholders of that topic. It should be easily understood and relatable with them. So unless and until that type of content is there, nobody is going to read it. Otherwise it is just a piece of paper which is there, and yes, it is published, but it is of no use. So we need to see to it that whatever writings you will be doing, that will be worthy. If it is not worthy, then certainly you won't find a reader for it. Fine. Now, whenever we are into this research topic, now you must have felt this many a times. अभी जैसे ढगे सर ने बताया कि मेरे 2 पेपर्स पब्लिश हुए थे, and I agree that there may be, I assume that there may be few of the research scholar who are saying कि हाँ मेरे भी कुछ पेपर्स पब्लिश हुए हैं, but there are more than, I mean, in this group of 50 students, you can say that only 3 or 4 people are there जिन्होंने ये हमें बताया होगा कि they have published a paper. Whereas the other set of students who are there, they haven't even started thinking about writing a research paper. और इसके लिए सबसे पहला क्या होता है ना कि there are certain mental barriers, okay, mind barriers which we are carrying, and unless and until we remove that, and it is said that you have to get out of your comfort zone in order to do something which is very worthy reading. Fine. So वो mindset से हमें निकलना है कि I am not able to do it, and then you have to think that yes, I can do it. So first thing, the first mind barrier which we all have is the inability of time. The moment students get involved with any of the master's course and particularly PhD, the first thing which happens with them is automatically they become busy. और इतने busy हो जाते हैं कि they don't have time to do PhD, they don't have time to do any sort of reading or anything. So ये जो पहली चीज है ना कि I am not finding time, that's a wrong notion. you are not taking out the time is there, but you are I can say that it is the the students perspective that they are not getting time. But if they find, or if they have a careful thought on the like time management kind of thing, then yes, certainly they will get the time to think about the topic, the title, and the other aspects of writing the research paper, the points, the objectives of research paper, and slowly eventually he or she will begin into that process of writing. So सबसे पहली चीज जो time नहीं है, this is an excuse, and this excuse has no validity at all. Okay, you have to find time if you really don't get time, or rather you please try to focus on the time which is available with you, and try to think about that, yes, I have to write the research paper. Now, next thing which many of the time students complain is about inability to access literature on the research topic. Now, many a times we know that students come to us and they tell, मैम इस पे तो कोई मटेरियल ही नहीं है, मैम ये तो टॉपिक ही नहीं है, मैम गूगल में तो इसके बारे में कुछ भी नहीं मिल रहा है. बट बिलीव मी फ्रेंड्स, इफ you are searching something on Google, and if you are not getting something on Google, then believe me, that is the best topic on which you can write, because nobody has worked on that, because nobody has been worked on that. So the whole platform is open for you to write whatever your opinions, views, and experiences are there about that topic, understanding about that topic, and then it gives you a broader margin. See, there is one topic which is based on, let us say, constitution, and I am here talking about, let us say, uh, right to religion. And when I put it in the Google, or for that matter in Google Scholar, I find probably lakhs of articles, lakhs of written work which is available. And then to put my opinion about that, for which already lakhs and lakhs of material is available, is very difficult, because I need to be unique as well. But at the same time, if the topic is new, if the topic is emerging, if the topic is something, which nobody has thought of till this time, then that gives you more better platform, more better chances to write something which is very new. So if this is an excuse with you that you are not finding the literature, believe me, you are at the safest. So ये भी कोई excuse नहीं है. And then insufficient resources. Again, only 5 articles I have, or only 2 books I have read. So this is again an excuse. You need to, once you are doing a research, particularly जब हम PhD जैसा research करते हैं ना, so it is something like that. Whatever act you do, like if you are reading, if you are writing, if you're observing something, so at that time you try to connect it with your topic. Like, had it been like the same situation, can we think that environmental law is accommodated here, or what about the corporate laws, or what about the technology law, whatsoever. So you just try to construct or create your own material with the help of other resources which are there, and that is how you have to deal with this insufficiency of resources. And best way is go to some good libraries, okay, wherein hard copy books as well as e-resource content is available, which is a good quality work. And then automatically you will start thinking that yes, this much resource is enough for me to move further in my research. Okay, then the next thing is waiting for an inspiration. Many a time students have this problem that I don't think I can write, because nothing is yet clicking in my mind. Okay, I've yet to get that thought or that spark which says to me that okay, start writing. So don't wait for that time. Okay, that spark, see, it is your inbuilt kind of thing. So ये खुद को ही आपको करना है. And if you are not allowing that to happen to you, that means somewhere you yourself is blocking that. So just remove that thing. Don't wait. Okay, your inspiration should be the direction, under which you have been enrolled for the PhD right now. And that direction itself says that publication is compulsory. So you have to write it. Okay, there is no choice. So don't wait for any inspiration. and start writing. Meanwhile, eventually it might happen that you started with one topic, and after reading and getting into the depth of it, you may come up with something else. That is fine, but at least start. Don't wait for an inspiration. Or else, now if you want to take inspiration, I can give you, Dhage sir has already published 2 papers, and there are other research scholars also from my research center who have also published. So this is an inspiration कि आपके साथ वालों ने तो लिख भी लिया है, publish भी हो गया. So now you see what you can do. Fine. So consider this as an inspiration. And then the last mind barrier which we all have is feeling of difficult to get my paper accepted. Now this happens with every one of us. You know, every time we send our abstract, we send our paper to good journals. Okay, I'm not talking about paid journals wherein by paying some money you get your paper published irrespective of the quality, but those journals like UGC Care or Scopen Index journals, they are there. So at that time, this is a thing which is there in our mind and heart, that my paper will not be accepted, but it is okay. It will not be accepted, but that does not mean that I should not send my abstract. I should not, make an attempt to send my paper. At least they can tell me that why your paper has not been accepted. Even, that can be done. So for that reason, for knowing that why your paper is or is not able to get accepted, so that is also good learning part, so that next time when you send, you will rectify those mistakes. So don't have this mindset that my paper will not get, let it not get accepted, but yes, you have to begin with making an attempt to send your abstract. Okay, so before writing a research paper, these are the mind barriers which comes in every individual's mind. So just remove them. Okay, they are of no use. Okay, they are just excuses which we are giving to ourselves. So we need to go beyond that. And then now suppose we have come across from our mind barriers. Okay, now what is the thing is, I have to identify the area of my research paper. Now number one is that because you all are doing PhD, the guideline itself says that it has to be related with your PhD topic, but it should not be exactly same as your research title. Okay, so what you can do is, when you start reading the content, you just identify some of the focal points of your research and then try to vertically read. I mean, vertically means और उसको depth में आप पढ़ना शुरू करिए and see that on any one particular point you can write some article or not. Sometimes the approach or the content available for one topic is vast, whereas sometimes there is hardly any material available. Sometimes it might happen that the understanding of that particular provision or that concept or that variable is not very clear, and through that research paper you can at least make an attempt to make that understanding clear. So identify the area of your research paper. It will not be exactly like your PhD title, but it can have a reflection of some part of your PhD title. Okay, कुछ तो उसका element, कुछ तो उसका flavor वहां पे उस research paper में होना चाहिए. Okay, so first thing, what these are the questions for which you need to give answers by your own self. Okay, in order to identify the topic for research paper. First is, why do you want to choose this topic? Sometimes there are some topics which are chaotic at the very beginning. Sometimes you might feel that this initial aspects related to this concept is not very clear. Later on, probably it has generated its own meaning, but the feel that at this point of time, and that's why there must be some sort of change or something like that. So you just want to answer this question, that why I want to choose this topic, because what is the depth of what you can say रिक्वायरमेंट, इसको समझने के लिए कितने लोगों को ये जरूरी है, या कितने लोग इससे एसोसिएटेड है, या फिर व्हाट इन्फ्लुएंस इट विल क्रिएट ऑन द सोसाइटी, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा, एंड अकॉर्डिंगली choose that topic. Don't just jump on कि ये करना है. And again, what should be the strategy while writing? Because you all are at the early stage, write some paper on the conceptual aspects of your research rather than at this moment you are talking about the issues, concerns, challenges, way forward, etc., on your topic, because you are at a very preliminary stage of your research, and at this point of time probably you do not have better understanding or the best understanding of the issues and concern. Rather, you should focus more on the conceptual understanding. And writing a paper is a good activity, because the moment you start writing and reading about that concept, automatically the understanding about that concept becomes thorough in your mind. So identify that why do you want to choose this topic. So whatever the reason may be, because it is easy, because it is the concept, because it is at the beginning part, because I have read only this much, whatsoever, you have your own reasoning, and that is fine. But you identify that why you want to choose this topic. Then what is the relevance of this topic with your research, topic of your research paper, with the topic of your PhD title, and then what is the relevance of this topic in the contemporary scenario for the society or for the people or for the stakeholders. So that relevance you have to identify. And then where can you get information on this topic? So abhi because only I am recollecting Dhage sir's topic, so bar मैं उन्हीं का example दे रही हूँ. He spoke about impact analysis. Now automatically the word impact analysis itself says that it is going to be an empirical research. It has to be an empirical research. So when it is an empirical research, automatically you need to find out the sample size, the area, the people, what modes of data collection you are going to apply, etc., etc. So you know that if I want to collect the information on this topic, I have people who are so I need to find out from where I'm going to get information on this topic, and that will be very helpful for you in identifying the research area of research paper. Then who can you consult as the information providers on this topic? Now this is again very important, because this is something which you all will be doing at the very early stage of your research. So you need to consult to 3 to 4 people or some experts who are working in this area. Why I'm telling you that this is important? Because once you start writing, and suppose आधा से ज़्यादा काम आपका हो चुका है, and then somebody comes and tell you, oh, why are you writing on this? Already there was a judgment on this before, like 2 months ago, and now why are you writing? It has been already decided. Then what happens? Then we felt like, oh my God, all my efforts are gone waste. Okay, so ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. For that reason, you just consult and see कि exactly क्या टॉपिक इंपॉर्टेंट है. समटाइम्स when you discuss with some experts, and that's why I'm saying कि अभी जो experts यहाँ पे आ रहे हैं, please talk to them as much as you can, so that they will help you out. Okay, don't do on this, instead do on that, because this is more contemporary, this is more required, rather than doing something which is already existing in a very black and white rigid manner. So don't write it. Okay, तो ये आप कब कर सकते हो? जब आप काफी सारे इंफॉर्मेशन प्रोवाइडर्स के साथ कंसल्ट करते हो. ओके, एंड देन व्हाई योर टॉपिक इज इंपॉर्टेंट. सी, अनलेस एंड अंटिल you as a researcher and you as a author is satisfied with the identification of that topic, or the logic behind that topic, or the requirement behind that topic, you cannot make others believe in that. Fine. And that is why that topic is very important. Sometimes it might happen that you are feeling that that topic is important, but when I as a reader look with that look up to that topic, then probably I feel that no, this is not important, I know that, or something which is very casual and basic, so probably that topic is something which you can ignore. But some topic which is there, which is very important, and you have a very strong insights about it, that this is going to be of very, very contemporary relevance, then certainly you should choose that topic. Okay, so you have to convince yourself, and then eventually you need to convince your guide, you need to convince your audience that this is a topic which is very important, and then involve in discussion with research consumer. Research consumer basically is your reader, or with those people who are, as I've said, directly associated with your research topic. Now, best way, probably my students are aware of this thing, I every time give them this example, that best way of writing any sort of research is discussion. And every day you discuss at least with minimum 5 different set of people. And that different set of people can be anybody, right from security guard, your domestic help, to your teachers, to your subject expert, to your colleagues, to your classmates, anybody. Okay, and every day discuss it with some like other set of people, and then find out what they are thinking. For example, suppose if here we are talking about modern technologies, particularly used by terrorists, etc., etc. Now, in such cases, if the same question I ask to a security person or domestic head, that modern technology is used by terrorists, and then somebody will go, terrorist means kya? वो कौन लोग होते हैं? Then immediately that should click to your mind कि okay, people are not aware. उनको चोर भी टेररिस्ट लगता है, और टेररिस्ट भी, अभी जो बाहर से आता है वो भी टेररिस्ट लगता है. तो कहीं तो मुझे क्या करना है एज अ रिसर्चर, इसको बाइफरकेट करके बताना है कि व्हेन अ पर्सन इज अ क्रिमिनल एंड व्हेन अ पर्सन इज अ टेररिस्ट. तो ऑटोमेटिकली क्या होता है ना, मुझे राइटिंग आइडिया मिलता है यहाँ पे कि आई नीड टू bifurcate. I need to make sure that the difference between terrorist and criminals. Fine. So जब तक ये चीज हम नहीं करेंगे ना, हमें समझ में नहीं आता. और इसका इंसाइट आपको कौन दे रहा है? जब हम उनके साथ डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं. Similarly, you discuss it with some persons who are there, like, but they are not in your field. Okay, they are there. Let us say someone from engineering, or someone from mathematics, or someone from any this thing, but they are not from legal. Okay, just a minute. Okay, fine. So this happens कि you involve in discussion, and this is a practical, or I can say this is a homework. Okay, try to do it. आज से ये शुरू करिए, और 10 दिन तक लगातार, जब तक हमारा ये अभी पिछले आगे वाले 9 दिन आप देखिए कैसे होता है. And then just give us a feedback at the end कि you are discussing your topic every day with 5 people, and they are from 5 different backgrounds. Okay, and then what output they are giving to you, and on the basis of that output, what is your analysis, that what topic you should choose for writing a research paper, writing your first research paper, or something like that. Okay, so involve in lot of discussion. Now when this thing happens, हमने हमारा माइंड ब्लॉक हटा लिया है, हम अभी आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ टॉपिक्स के पास जा रहे हैं. अब क्या करना है कि नाउ देयर इज अ पूल ऑफ टॉपिक इन माय माइंड. ओके, बहुत सारी चीजें मेरे माइंड में आ रही है. 10 दिन मैंने डिस्कशंस भी कर लिए, तो मेरे पास काफी सारे टॉपिक है. नाउ यहाँ पे हमारे रिसर्च स्किल्स और रिसर्च टेक्निक्स को हमें यूज करना है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी यूज the word research scholars, because we assume that you are a scholar, and then you understand like how to bifurcate between a very general topic to a very research based topic. Okay, so after discussion, after identification, after understanding, you have identified that there is a set of general topics. Okay, now when a topic is there which is very generic in nature, and sometimes, believe me, my dear friends, it does not matter that if your topic is very general, but for that general topic, if you can give a new insight, for that general topic, if you can provide a new parameter of understanding, for that particular general topic, if you have altogether a different explanation, which was there are topics For example, let us say when we talk of intellectual property rights, we used to say that these are the legal rights, because they are there given by the act, etc., etc. Now, slowly, eventually, when we again go into the details of it and when we read it in depth, we understand that they are not exactly the legal right, but they are moral right. And because they are moral right, somebody needs to protect it, and that is why the act has came. So what has happened? Identification of intellectual property, let us say identification of patents or identification of copyrights. So we started our understanding that because there is an act and that's why a patent is granted. But no, there is a moral right, and moral right says the one who creates gets the ownership. And because of that moral right, there was this, Berne Convention, Paris Convention, and then eventually we have seen the Patent Act, etc., etc. So क्या होता है, बहुत ही जनरल टॉपिक था, बट हम उसका क्या कर रहे हैं, बहुत ही नया अंडरस्टैंडिंग यहाँ पे क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, एक परसेप्शन क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, एक उसका वर्जन क्रिएट करते हैं जो कि नया है, which is different than the existing one. So don't worry. Sometimes you may find that the topic seems to be very general for writing a research paper, but it is absolutely fine. No need to feel degraded कि ये मैं किस टॉपिक पे लिख रहा हूँ. बट अगर old topic with new understanding, old topic with new explanation, old topic with new explanation, then certainly that is a very welcome move which is there, and that needs to be accepted. Okay, that needs to be written down in the form of research paper. Number two, when we can start writing for research paper, we can think of identifying the issues. Many of the time it happens that there is some part which is there in this society, or some set of laws, or some prevailing practices, or something which is there as it is, and for a very very long time we do not think that they are issue. And then gradually after some time, maybe with the help of education reforms, etc., etc., we think that no, this is not correct, this is an issue, and somebody must talk on that. And that is the time, my dear friends, wherein we can say that yes, now I should write a research paper on that. And you can find there are multiple topics, जो ऐसे होते कि जो हमने पहले आइडेंटिफाई नहीं किए कि ये इशू भी हो सकता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, for a very very long time, under the Hindu Succession Act, you have seen that daughters को उसमें शेयर नहीं होता था बहुत, आई थिंक 2005 तक हमने ऐसे ही देखा, जब से लाइक पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस ईपीसी, सो 1947 से तब तक हमारे पास ऐसा कोई प्रोविजन नहीं था. एंड टू एन एक्सटेंड उसको हमने कभी इशू भी नहीं समझा. स्लोली इवेंचुअली व्हेन वी स्टार्टेड थिंकिंग अबाउट फेमिनिस्ट ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस, slowly eventually when we started talking about women protection, women empowerment, etc., etc., then we realized no, that women needs to be given their share in the property. And then eventually 2005 के बाद हमने देखा कि वहां पे वो amendment था. Now seriously again, the another example you can see is the decriminalization of 377. वहां पे भी for a very very long time, see, I am considering 1947 as my measuring scale, and from 1947 till 2017, I mean almost more like 70 years, and we never felt that this is an issue wherein millions of people are involved and we never recognized. Now for that matter, again, identification of transgender, we never realized that that is an issue, but this is an issue. Mental health, this is an issue. So what is happening here, that जैसे जैसे हम प्रोग्रेस करते हैं सोसाइटी में, ऑटोमेटिकली वी स्टार्टेड आइडेंटिफाइंग न्यू इश्यूज, और उन्हीं न्यू इश्यूज को लेके हम क्या कर सकते हैं, हम पेपर राइटिंग प्रोसेस स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं. सो इन योर रिसर्च ऑल्सो you find out these issues, and that's why I said that while choosing your research topic, you all need to be very careful and cautious about this thing, that on what you want to do research. If everybody has done identification of issues, and if your topic is very very generic one, then probably it becomes very difficult for an author to write a paper, and that too which is plagiarism free, that too which has a less number of similarity index. It becomes very difficult. So think in a very calculated way that how you are going to identify the issues. Now, another good aspect here is identify contrary perspectives. Now, sometimes it might happen that I am writing an article, and after completing my article, I come to know that this is something which is already has been discussed by the judiciary, by the law commission, etc., etc. And then there is a parallel set of remedial mechanisms which are available, which I haven't heard of. Now that will be a disaster. Okay. And that is why whenever we write down, okay, whenever we identify the topic, we have to see to it the from a very multi-dimensional perspective that, okay, this is one act which talks about this thing, but are there any other provisions which are peripheral provision and which provide more or less similar set of protection to this particular aspect, or they provide remedies on this particular aspects? Okay, so you have to see it from that perspective and identify if any contrary perspective is there, because that is going to help you while writing your research paper. हम argument और counter arguments कर सकते हैं. This is again a writing skill of research paper. Copying and pasting is one thing, but जो हम जिस research paper की हम बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, जो UGC केयर और Scopus Index में होता है, वो किस तरीके से होता है ना, wherein you put forth one argument and then you provide a comparison or a solution or a some explanation which is probably not similar with that argument, but it is contrary to it. And then I just trace out the outcomes of that argument and counter argument, and that is how the research paper has to be, rather than just copying these merit, demerits, advantage, issues, challenges, etc. Close. No, that paper will never get accepted. Okay, so identify the
मलाई त्रास देता स्वतः त्रास करता है.
पद्मा मैडम में किसका है? चारू नल्ले.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry,
Yes,
ma'am.
madam. Yes, ma'am.
No problem. ठीक है. So हमको क्या करना है, हमको जनरल टॉपिक्स भी आइडेंटिफाई करने हैं, कभी कभी हमें इश्यूज भी आइडेंटिफाई करने हैं, हमें उसके कंट्री पर्सपेक्टिव्स भी आइडेंटिफाई करने हैं, एंड देन व्हाट यू हैव टू डू इज देन यू हैव टू राइट द रिसर्च आर्टिकल. ओके, सो दिस इज हाउ I always say that research is a pyramid structure. It starts with a very basic general understanding, and slowly eventually you reach to the peak wherein we are talking about one focal point of my research, wherein I am going to discuss and place some arguments, where I am going to evaluate those arguments on the basis of legal literature, and then I am going to conclude it by way of finding some reasonable suggestions, solutions, recommendations, something like that. And that is how your research paper should be, rather than just copying and pasting and कंपाइलिंग. सो दैट शुड नॉट बी देयर. तो ये इनमें से किसी भी तरीके से हो सकता है. चाहे तो आप किसी जनरल टॉपिक को आइडेंटिफाई करिए, उसको पॉलिश करिए, एंड देन राइट इट इन अ वेरी यूनिक वे, और आइडेंटिफाई सम इश्यूज जो अभी तक आइडेंटिफाई नहीं हुए थे, अब आइडेंटिफाई हो रहे हैं, या आइडेंटिफाई हो चुके थे पर वो इतने इंटेंसली नहीं हुए थे जैसे हम अब कर सकते हैं, एंड देन राइट अ पेपर ऑन दैट, एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स कॉन्ट्ररी पर्सपेक्टिव, एंड देन टुगेदर जब हम उसको कोलैबोरेट करते हैं, then we can come up with a good research article. Okay, so that has to be there. Now what is a research article? Again, हमारा यहाँ पे कोई एग्जाम नहीं है, so we don't need to remember this definition, but this is just a formality part, wherein, as I already told you, what is an article? It is an organized way of writing, which is a written composition in prose on a specific topic. Okay, a collective and original work that conveys information or idea in a structured form. Now this is a word you all need to remember कि एक structured form में हमारी ideas को हमें convey करना है. So it should not be randomly coming, like random coming of thoughts or just flowing of thoughts. No. It cannot be like that. It has to be something which is well understood, well read, and well explained things, they appear, that should appear on your research paper. And research paper का एक और जो important criteria कि published as independent part of a book or a newspaper or a magazine or a journal. Okay, so article क्या होता है ना कि okay, now I am telling you about difference between article and research article. So when you talk about article in newspaper, article in journal, or article in books or article in magazine, then वो एक स्ट्रक्चर्ड फॉर्म में किए जाते हैं. बट जब हम रिसर्च आर्टिकल की बात करते हैं ना, तो यहाँ पे जैसे मैंने कहा कि कंटिन्यूअस डिस्कशन होता है, जहाँ पे हम आर्ग्यूमेंट्स पुट फोर्थ करते हैं और उसे एक्सप्लेन करते हैं बाय कंटिन्यूअसली एक्सेप्टिंग एंड रिजेक्टिंग द थियोरीज ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ देयर प्रैक्टिकल फिजिबिलिटीज. आप अगर कोई चीज वहां बना कर रहे हो या अगर आप कोई चीज उस आर्टिकल में एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हो, तो आपको उसका जस्टिफिकेशन के साथ वहां पे लिखना है. And many a times, I have seen that students at the very first line or first paragraph or in hardly 2-3 lines, they themselves write down that the law on this particular topic is not there, and that's why I thought of writing. We are coming to conclusion at the very beginning of the writing, so we don't need to do that. Rather, you first identify the concept and the topic, discuss about that, and then after making arguments and counter arguments, you think of whether you are accepting that motion or you are rejecting that. Okay, practical feasibility वगैरह देख के हमको वो काम करना है. Fine. So while writing an article, so probably we have a very limited set of resourceful data available. But while writing a research article, you have to give attribution for each and everything what you are going to put in the research article. At the same time, you have to see to it that justified arguments and counter arguments needs to be maintained here. For example, something which is unconstitutional can be justified in our constitution. Now, there are many topics. For example, now somebody was discussing with me yesterday, one of our student was discussing that why this Maharashtra transport and other state transports are giving concession to women, and why they want to pay men, particularly the younger men who are not into the senior citizen this thing, so they need to pay full. So this is a discrimination, this is an inequality amongst us, for us, etc., etc. So what is happening here? There is this one set of discussion which is going on, which is a very generic discussion. Now I told him, okay, first you read the provisions, first you read the scheme, first you identify what is the fundamental thing which the government wants to achieve by implementing such type of concession, women concession for Maharashtra road transport services. So unless and until you know that and then you place an argument, it becomes a research. Otherwise, just writing that कि अरे नहीं ये हमारे साथ तो गलत हो रहा है, बस ऐसे बोलना, that itself is something that okay, this is just a piece of article, but it is not a research article. ठीक है, तो ये difference हमें समझना है कि बहुत सारा हमें जो लीगल लिटरेचर है, जो लीगल एविडेंस होता है राइटिंग के लिए जो लगने वाला होता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, एकदम ही लेमैन्स लैंग्वेज में अगर मुझे बताना है, तो अगर हम कहेंगे ना कि इफ सम पर्सन XYZ is not keeping good, okay, he is not keeping good health. Now this is a general statement, but if I say that a person XYZ is not keeping well because his medical report says that his particular hemoglobin or something is not up to mark, etc., etc., then probably I am making a sound comment. Otherwise, oh, she does not know anything, or oh, she is not in good mood, oh, she is not in good health. So these are a very generic thing. So unless and until you support your statement with some document, you cannot say that it's a research article. It will be just a general or a generic article. So what we are planning here to do is that we are planning to get into the research article. We don't want to write an article, but we want to write a research article which is very focused, very specific, and very much analytical and descriptive in nature. Okay. So how you're going to write the research article? Okay. Now this is very important. Now this is the first step. We all collect data. और डेटा से इंफॉर्मेशन में कैसे जाते हैं, मैंने उस दिन भी आपको बताया था कि जब हम उसको कैटेगरी करते हैं, स्पेसिफाई करते हैं, सो यू हैव लॉट्स एंड लॉट्स एंड लॉट्स ऑफ डेटा and then you are specifying it into information means as per your requirement. Now once you have this set of information, now when you have this set of information, ये एक organized way हो जाता है for presenting the information. So data needs to be converted into information, so automatically data needs to be organized. Okay. Now जब ये ऑर्गेनाइज हो जाता है, ये जब इंफॉर्मेशन में कन्वर्ट होता है, तो अब हमें क्या करना पड़ता है, यहाँ पे एनालिसिस प्रोसेस करना पड़ता है. सो एनालिसिस के थ्रू क्या होता है ना, फिर हमारे दिमाग में अलग अलग आइडियाज आते हैं कि हाउ I am going to proceed with this particular topic, what I should do, which approach I should take, so etc. ये सारे आइडियाज हमारे पास आते हैं. और इन आइडियाज को मीन्स इंफॉर्मेशन को हम आइडियाज में कन्वर्ट करते हैं, और उन आइडियाज को बाय इम्प्लीमेंटिंग प्रॉपर रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी हम क्या करते हैं ना, एक स्किल बेस्ड सेट ऑफ आर्ग्यूमेंट्स वहां पे हम क्रिएट करते हैं. और जब हमारे पास स्किल बेस्ड सेट ऑफ आर्ग्यूमेंट्स आता है, आई मीन स्किल बेस्ड इन द सेंस कि लीगल एविडेंस को हम वहां पे एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं प्रॉपर तरीके से कि व्हाई दिस पर्टिकुलर एस्पेक्ट इज रिक्वायर्ड टू बी अटैच हियर एंड व्हाई इट शुड नॉट बी देयर. तो जब हम ये स्किल के साथ करते हैं, जिसको हम एप्लीकेशन ऑफ रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी कहते हैं, तब ऑटोमेटिकली हम क्या कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पे आर्टिकल लिख रहे हैं. ओके. अदरवाइज इनमें से अगर एक भी स्टेप मिसिंग हो रहा है आपके इसमें, तो हमारा वो आर्टिकल नहीं है. ओके. सो आर्टिकल के लिए ये सारी चीजें होना बहुत जरूरी है. सो व्हाट इज टू बी डन? अब हाउ टू राइट अ रिसर्च पेपर का जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट है वो ये है कि अब ये सब तो ठीक है मैडम, बट हम अब करें क्या, इसके बाद क्या करना है? तो सबसे पहला काम जो आप लोगों को करना है वो ये है कि सिलेक्ट अ कैची टाइटल. नाउ बिलीव मी फ्रेंड्स, व्हेन यू सेंड योर आर्टिकल टू एनी पब्लिशिंग हाउस, सो लाइक यू अक्रॉस इंडिया में कम से कम आज की डेट में देयर मे बी more than 10,000 research scholars, there may be more than 20,000 research teachers, there may be more than 50,000 law students who are working every year. They are working in this field, and every publication house receives multiple abstracts, multiple, not 1 2 50 100, but at times more than 500, more than 1,000, and out of that 1,000 they are going to select only the selected 10 or 12. तो वहां पे हम कैसे पहुंचे? तो पहला चीज जो उसके लिए हमें करना पड़ता है कि सिलेक्ट अ वेरी कैची टाइटल. Your title should be the reflection of the exact thought process which you want to write. Okay. It should not be very lengthy. It should not be very like shortcut kind of title. It should not be a confused title. और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है कि टाइटल कभी क्वेश्चन मार्क से नहीं होते. सो ये सारी चीजों को हमें ध्यान में रखना है कि वी डोंट नीड टू पुट एनी क्वेश्चन मार्क और एनीथिंग, बट वी हैव टू सिलेक्ट अ वेरी कैची टाइटल. आजकल आपने देखा होगा न्यूज़पेपर्स में बहुत कैची लाइंस होते हैं, हेडिंग लाइंस बहुत कैची होते हैं, सो दैट इट ड्रॉज द अट्रैक्शन ऑफ द अदर पर्सन एंड फोर्सेस him or her to read. Similarly, अगर आपका भी कैची टाइटल होगा तो ऑटोमेटिकली काफी लोग आपका रिसर्च वर्क पढ़ेंगे. एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स जैसे मैंने कहा कि टाइटल लिखते वक्त अवॉइड क्वेश्चन. सी रिसर्च, एक मिनट है, जस्ट अ मिनट, जस्ट ओके. फाइन. So first select a catchy title and then avoid the question mark. And next is, while writing research paper, see to it that you are selecting a very very contemporary topic of law. Okay, as I have said कि already existing topics पे लिखोगे ना तो थोड़ा सा level of acceptance उसका कम हो जाता है, because already many papers on that same topic has been published in that journal, and now they have a choice because more than 1,000 people are contacting them for their journal, so they will select the best, and that's why they will avoid all the like older versions of that topic, and that's why contemporary version is more welcome. And then give a gradual flow in your discussion. See, while writing in any form, whether you are writing an article or a research article, or where you are writing a research article and just a general writing kind of thing, make it a very gradually flowing. Or iska best example again, I tell this to my students many a time. So it is like that you're opening the cards in game of cards. हम करते हैं ना वो three poker. You know, we just put one, and then eventually you disclose that yes, all threes are yes or not whatsoever. Okay, so similarly research में होता है that your writing should be such that you are not unfolding all your thought process at the very beginning. This is, there is no law, this is this, and that's why I want to write. This is a wrong practice of writing. Okay, because at the very beginning you are just killing the suspense of your writing. At the very beginning you are just losing the essence of your writing. And that's why I said that if you choose a particular topic and you know that for this topic so far there is no law, but no need to show it at the very beginning. अगर कोई चीज आपको लगता है इम्पोर्टेंट है, जिसपे लॉ होना चाहिए, तो उसका शुरुआत हमको कहाँ से करनी चाहिए? शुरुआत कहाँ से होनी चाहिए? by telling its significance, that why this point or why this topic is so important that you can never ignore this. Then what happens if you ignore this? Then the incidences when you actually ignored it, जहाँ पे आप case laws, आपके अलग अलग examples जो रहेंगे वो, and then because we have done this thing, like we try to recognize it. Once we recognize, we started giving it limited protection, but slowly eventually we realize no, limited नहीं, इसको तो बड़ा protection मिलना चाहिए. जैसे ही बड़ा protection मिलता है तो हम बात करते कि अगर ये protection नहीं देते तो क्या होता, और अगर अब हम दे रहे हैं तो उससे ऐसा what difference it is making कि पहले वाले प्रोटेक्शन से ये बेटर लग रहा है, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. एंड देन यू कम टू some analysis, or then you come to certain conclusion that okay, this has to be done in this way, rather than putting everything in the first two paragraph and then just repeating the one thing again and again and again. और बहुत बार तो हमने ये भी देखा है कि student they just catch the words from that source, and as it is उसका reflection वहाँ पे होता है, as it is उसका copy paste होता है, not even they give that thought कि whether this is relevant or whether this is absolutely not relevant. You will find that when you go on JSTOR or any of the open sources, you will find that number of articles are there, and some articles are really good. But when you read those articles and then you see the year of publication, and the year of publication says, let us say 1958, it is of no use to me, because I have already came 50 years ahead of what 1958 situation was. So how far that is going to have relevancy with my topic, I don't know. And that's why while selecting the content, you be very specific. While interpreting that context content in your research, be very vigilant about it, and don't just think कि हाँ इसको भी डाल दो उसको भी डाल दो, ऐसा नहीं होता. So there has to be a gradual flow, there has to be a gradual explanation. See एक और again my students, I don't know, concept variable का combination याद है जो हम सीखते हैं क्लास में कि how we will start with concept and eventually we came down to variable, and then we draw a nexus between a concept and variable, and then we understood the extended variables. Okay, तो इसी तरीके से हमें क्या करना पड़ता है, gradual step by step flow. आप के लिए एक और एडवाइस मैं यहाँ देना चाहूंगी कि वाइल राइटिंग अ रिसर्च पेपर, राइटिंग से भी पहले क्या करना है, फ्लो चार्ट ड्रॉ कर लीजिए. सो ड्रॉइंग अ फ्लो चार्ट इज अ वेरी वेरी must kind of thing, particularly in research paper, and that will help you to identify the direction कि हम किस direction में हमें जाना चाहिए in this particular research paper. Should I discuss this like development first, or should I discuss environment first? Should I discuss consumer first, or should I discuss the rights of consumer first? So etc etc. So that flow chart will help you out in creating the gradual flow in your discussion. Okay, make the foundational aspects very strong. See, writing a research paper is a very proportionated thing. You just cannot, मैंने देखा है students ना 6-7 pages हो गए and they are writing foundation only. So that's a big no-no. Okay, it is a very basic fundamental part of your research, but you focus only on like 20% weightage on your concept. Okay, only 20%. If number of words required are, let us say 8,000 to 9,000, on an average वो 16 pages तक आता है. अब अगर वो 16 pages हो रहे हैं तो 20 pages कितना होता है? It's like around 32. Okay, so let us say 3 pages I am going to write on my concept, and then 30% weightage to the nexus between concept and variable, and 30% on issues, and then 20% on attempts to address the issues etc. तो आपको जो फ्लो चार्ट करना है ना वो इस तरीके से करना है कि मेरे टॉपिक में कॉन्सेप्ट पे मुझे ये लिखना है, सो दैट ओनली 3 पेजेस शुड गो, एंड देन 30% का नेक्सस में मुझे ये अकोमोडेट करना है, 20% इश्यूज में ये. Otherwise, I said, na, this proportion is never balanced. Many a times I have seen papers written by students, last का 1 पेज सिर्फ issues रहता है. What is the use? आपका जो रिसर्च पेपर है आप उसको लास्ट में लिख रहे हैं 1 पेज जिसमें कोई एक्सप्लेनेशन नहीं, that certainly is going to get rejected. ओके, सो जब तक ये पहले के हम पैरामीटर्स क्लियर नहीं करते हैं राइटिंग में, हम 30% इश्यूज और एड्रेस द इश्यूज पे हम नहीं आ सकते. तो ये बाइफर्केशन आपको इसके परसेंटेज के वाइज करना होगा. Now then, after you identify the percent, what you can do is you create the original version of your analysis, okay, in the available content. Now this is what happens, when you wrote 10 books, then only you come up with 11th version of it. Okay, जब आप 20 बुक्स पढ़ेंगे तब आपको 21वां थॉट आपके दिमाग में आएगा. जब आप 50 बुक पढ़ेंगे तब 51st thought will come to your mind. But if you read only one book, then probably no thought will come. So multiple books you need to read, and then you have to create your own version. ठीक है, तो original version हमें यहाँ पे create करना है. Try to be more relevant and convincing. See, एक audience connect होता है. Unless and until you involve your audience, जो readers है, उस writing में, certainly they will not convince. और आपको पता होगा convince करने के लिए हमें बहुत मुश्किल होती है, because लोग कहेंगे ना कि इसके पीछे लॉजिक क्या है, तो हमें बहुत ही स्ट्रॉन्ग जस्टिफिकेशन चाहिए होता है in order to make it relatable, relevant and convincing. Avoid repetition. If you keep on repeating one and the same thing in your research paper, that is certainly not going to be accepted. And many a times it happens that this is the one thing, सेम थिंग, और अगेन एंड अगेन हम अलग अलग एक्टिव वॉइस पैसिव वॉइस में वही लिखे जा रहे हैं, वही लिखे जा रहे हैं. तो ये एक बहुत क्या कहते हैं, बहुत ही एक नेगेटिव पॉइंट होता है आर्टिकल राइटिंग का, रिपीटेशन. अगर बहुत रिपीटेशन हो रहा है तो without even giving a second thought, that paper gets rejected. Okay, do not involve more than one claims in a paper. I already told you कि research क्या है ना, कि it's a process. और एक वक्त पे रिसर्च पेपर में एक ही थॉट आता है. जैसे पीएचडी में देयर कैन बी मल्टीपल थॉट बिकॉज ड्यूरेशन बहुत बड़ा है, बट जब हम रिसर्च पेपर लिखते हैं तो एक ही थॉट के बारे में हमें फोकस करना है. सो राइट ओनली वन थॉट, फाइन. And then avoid sentences which can create confusion and misunderstanding. Or and ये सारे words को हमें यहाँ पे we don't need to use them again and again. Fine. So do not involve more than one claim in a paper. Okay, just a minute. हेलो, हाँ बोल. हाँ हो अरे माझा क्लास सुरू आहे ना. My son was calling me. I'm so sorry, extremely sorry. Fine. So where were we? We were do not involve more than one claims in a paper, and then avoid sentences which can create confusion and misunderstanding. So this is one thing which you all need to understand. This is also there, or this can also there. So jab or so if you read carefully, in many a times in lot of journal this guideline has been given that do not use or do not give controversial statement. IBC, for example, IBC is a very promising tool which is there, and then somewhere you are writing the company law did so great. So हमने क्या कर दिया कि हम बोल रहे कि company law great है और IBC बहुत promising है, तो कहीं तो वो मेल नहीं होता है. तो ऐसे सारे चीजें हम एक ही इसमें अगर लिखेंगे तो वहां पे बहुत वेराइटी ऑफ थॉट्स आता है, और वेराइटी ऑफ थॉट्स आता है तो थोड़ा सा मुश्किल हो जाता है लिखना. ओके. And then contradictory statements. Okay, so whenever you are writing about governments or some officers or some religion or some caste or something, be very very careful about it. See, at no point of time you should be disrespectful in your writing. At no point of time you need to be hurting like other sentiments, so ये सब पे बहुत हमें carefully ध्यान रखना पड़ता है. And then you write. See, I mean, there are ways of writing. You know that you are not agreeing with what the other, person is thinking, or the system is working, or the maybe the act or the law or the judiciary is saying, but that does not mean that I am being very critically disrespectful about that. No, that should not be there. That's not the good sign of a good researcher. Okay, you need to be very respectful about what you are saying and what you are writing, and that's why avoid contradictory statement, avoid disrespectful statements. Okay, do not say, I mean, for example, okay, again this is a now Hinduism is the greatest of all. I mean, this should not be written in this way. There are multiple ways. Now we ourselves are saying कि ऐसा, but उसका negative meaning अपने आप create होता है कि if this is the greatest, then what the others are like? Does it mean that Jainism is not the greatest one, or does it mean the other is not? So ऐसा contradictory statement research paper writing में नहीं चाहिए होता है, because see, when it is with UGC care or peer reviews, so they are very careful about the use of words. Okay, they don't ask you to be very good in English literature, like coming with flowery words and etc etc. They don't need it, but they need it in a very clear and simple, grammatically correct language, that what statements you are making. Okay, and then again I said, try not to use or and etc in one sentences. That's a big no. And then don't write concluding statements in the beginning or in the content zone. Fine. As I already told you कि वो पहले ही हम sum up कर देते हैं, वैसा biased approach research writing में कभी भी नहीं चाहिए होता है. Okay, and generate a stepwise discussion. Please tell them what do you understand? Let us say if I am giving here example of right to religion, then I need to talk about what exactly religion mean. I need to talk about its constitutional intervention. Then I need to talk about the fundamental rights, and then probably I can jump on to some of the acts or provision जिसके बारे में मैं यहाँ पे बात कर रही हूँ. So generate a very stepwise discussion. Don't just assume that people know what is right to religious freedom. No, they don't know what is the meaning of freedom. They don't know what is the meaning of religion. So you have to explain them and gradually come down. Even the meaning of right, what does it means? Right. Okay. राइट का एग्जैक्ट मतलब क्या है? राइट का मतलब टिक मार्क नहीं है कि राइट हो गया है. ओके, व्हेन आई से दैट इट इज अ राइट, देन इट हैज अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बैकग्राउंड बिहाइंड इट. तो वो हमें वहां पे एक्सप्लेन करना है. Okay, so generate stepwise discussion here. Then there are certain writing hacks. Now if you want to, this you can use in your PhD thesis as well as writing the research papers. Use inverted commas to write judgments. Now जैसे मैंने बताया Turnitin लो या Orkun लो या और कोई सॉफ्टवेयर्स जहाँ पे सिमिलैरिटी इंडेक्स जनरेट होता है, तो वहां पे अगर आपने किसी का पैराग्राफ लिया है जहाँ पे कोई स्टेटमेंट किया है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे केस लॉज में होते हैं, या किसी ने अपने स्पीच में बोला है, या लॉ कमीशन रिपोर्ट में, या पार्लियामेंट में डिस्कशन में आया है वो विषय, वॉट एवर, सो पुट इट under inverted commas. Okay, so that will be exempted from the similarity index. Extensive use of footnote space, like again and again repeating article 21, article 14, article this, article that, this section, that section in your research paper, it's a big no-no. Okay, so don't use that. Rather just put article 21 says that the person's liberty needs to be protected, and that's why जो भी आपको लिखना है वो लिखिए. आर्टिकल 21 क्या बोल रहा है उसका जो एग्जैक्ट वर्डिंग है, पुट इट इन द फुटनोट, डोंट पुट इट इन योर. सिमिलरली कोई कन्वेंशन का ऑब्जेक्टिव है, सिमिलरली कोई एक्ट का ऑब्जेक्टिव है, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा थिंग, जस्ट पुट इट इन फुटनोट. डोंट पुट दैट थिंग. नहीं तो पन्ने बढ़ाने के लिए हम वही कर रहे हैं. इट्स ऑफ नो यूज. use of diagrams and flow charts, you know, as and when required. You know, legal studies में हम इसको बहुत अच्छे से execute कर सकते हैं. So as and when required, do it. Okay, use lot of statistics. Nowadays this is an era of quantitative legal research. We are very much into this multi-model system of research writing. So we are not with that traditional mode of doctrinal and non-doctrinal thing, but we are working on multimodal research system wherein statistics have become one of the integral part of our research. Okay, so use lot of statistics and graphs rather than writing pages and pages and pages with theoretical text. Do not use international content unless necessary. Okay, if the title says that it is something which is very specifically national in nature, so unless, and then people put in USA, in Canada, in UK, in Australia, why? That is not required. Okay, and then you start doing comparative study based, that is all, you know, irrelevant stuff for this particular writing. If your paper is related like only about Indian perception, but if your paper is open at the global टॉपिक से रिलेटेड, अगर एक ग्लोबल डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं तो फिर हम कर सकते हैं. बट अगेन अगर हम ग्लोबल डिस्कशन करेंगे तो वो 8 या 10 पेज में खत्म नहीं होगा. then you need to bring many things together. Okay, and that's why you need to make sure that avoid international content as in when means write it only as and when necessary, otherwise avoid it. Get your first draft, summarize and then rewrite. Okay, पहला एक first draft रखिए, उसको extensively लिखिए, put all the thoughts, all the material, and then start summarizing it. At least 2-3 times आपको summarize करना है, rewrite करना है, then probably your final draft will be here. This is one example I showed you that day, that how big data information, so that whole writing thing is converted into this one simple diagram. diagram. So I don't need to waste my word limit. See, while writing an article, they give you only 3,000 word, 5,000 word, 8,000 word. And for that 8,000 word, I have other important things to write rather than I am putting my effort in writing this procedure kind of thing, which is very standard procedure. Okay. So jo bhi standard procedures hote, put it in diagram and just save that time, save that word limit for the other thing wherein you can write your own versions. Again, use of case laws. This is something which I do many a times. Okay, I use graph. I don't use इस case में ऐसा हुआ, उस case में वैसा हुआ. Just give a timeline, tell these are the things which is there, and just come to directly to the point. There is no point in discussing 1950 year when I need to focus only on 2018 case law. Okay, so put it in graph and just save that page limit, word limit for the other topics to be discussed. Format of research paper, this is very important. This is just for your understanding I am giving, but what you can do is you just see the earlier issues of that particular journal and select one or two papers from that and see what type of format has been accepted there, and accordingly prepare one format, okay, for your paper and write. So more or less these are the things. Introduction has to be there, conceptual analysis has to be there, contents, nexus between concept and variable, issues, claim, attempts to address these issues and claim, कौन से judgment में हुआ है, कौन से act में हुआ है, कौन से law commission में हुआ है, कौन से examples है, and then conclusion and then way forward. So this is a very standard format. It varies from journal to journal. Okay. And then there are certain details which needs to be followed. As I already told you, connectivity. One paragraph and second paragraph needs to be connected. Second and third needs to be connected. Third and fourth needs to be connected. It should not be like jumping in the air. There is this first paragraph on A, then second paragraph on C, and then third paragraph on Z, and then automatically, fourth पे हम कहाँ आ गए, हम फिर से B में आ गए. So this should not be there. Connectivity has to be there. Word and page limit, that needs to be followed. Font and font size, that needs to be followed. Paragraph pattern, heading and subheading patterns, these are very important things. Sometimes your article is good, but if you don't follow this, it will get rejected. Even you don't follow the footnote style, it will get rejected. Okay. Margins, be very particular about the use of margin. Footnote style, ब्लू बुक का 19th एडिशन है, 20th है, 21st है, ILI है, whatever, whatever the footnote styling is, follow that. Index your content, जो हमने पहले format देखा ना, this is the indexing. So please index your content. Plagiarism, similarity, index norms को follow करिए और grammatically correct लिखिए. There should not be any this thing which is grammatically incorrect. Wait, grammatically incorrect. Okay, so plagiarism and similarity index norms needs to be followed and grammatically correct content हमें लिखना है. It should not be grammatically incorrect rather. Okay. Now this is one of the sheets. I do some review for some journals. So they provide us with something like this, and then we need to give marks. And on the basis of this marks, the publication team decides, the editorial team decides whether to accept that paper or to reject that paper. So आप देखोगे इसमें जो topic है, name of the article, I told you it has to be very catchy. Relevancy of the topic काफी contemporary होगा तो chances high है. Comprehensiveness, the use of content, the use of legal literature, the use of worthy materials. Okay, वो कितना ज़्यादा है उस पे बहुत marks होते हैं. Original contribution to the knowledge. Okay, so whatever original contribution, I told you that you don't need to just copy and paste, but every time my screen is not visible, is it so?
It's not visible.
No,
It has been subbed in a slide.
It's visible, ma'am.
Not visible, madam. Only the previous site is being shown.
This
Yeah,
is
only the
visible.
previous slide.
What you're discussing is not there, but the previous slide is
Not
visible.
visible, ma'am.
अरे
Slide.
ये वाला visible नहीं है?
मैडम
it is
सिर्फ
visible,
प्रीवियस
but
स्लाइड दिख रही है,
we-
प्लीज टू बी वाला स्लाइड ही दिख रहा है बस।
Actually, madam,
अच्छा, जिसको
today
दिख
there
रहा
is
है वही
lots
बताओ।
of internet issue.
हाँ, वो आपका इंटरनेट इशू होगा क्योंकि अदरवाइज ये विजिबल होना चाहिए।
Yes, it is visible.
Ma'am, slide is visible.
Fine. So this is like original contribution to the knowledge. So whatever original contribution you are making, उस पे बहुत marks होते हैं. So again, the good practice is if you are copying one paragraph from somewhere, so immediately जो next two paragraph रहेंगे वो आपके own होने चाहिए. It should not be like only converting active to passive. Voice, no, it must be your version, and that is how you are going to reduce the similarity index number as well. So original contribution आपका होना चाहिए. Use of language, I already told you, it should not be disrespectful, it should not be like hurting someone's state sentiments, etc, etc. Coherence has to be there, you know, there has to be like chronology, there has to be this thing, that one thing affecting the other and then the other is affecting the next one. It should not be like chaos that the reader is confused that why this is there, and then there has to be this relevance that people should immediately connect. Oh yes, this is related to me. Oh yes, this has happened with us. So that type of coherence has to be there, and then you need to make recommendations and solutions. Your paper must focus on this, you know, that there needs to be some findings, some outcomes, and then some recommendation has to be there, and the footnote and citing patterns. Okay, that has to be very, very, very clear. If all this is done, then you have best probable chances that your paper will get selected for peer, I mean for the UGC care. Otherwise, there is a problem. Okay, so writing needs to be enhanced. Writing needs to be done in a very calculated way, in a very organized way, in a very structured manner, and then we can say that yes, the paper will get published. Otherwise, there is an issue. Okay, we might not get a positive feedback. So these are some of the paper in UGC care which I have published. This is a Scopus Index journal. So we can get it. अगर हम अच्छे से follow करेंगे ना, तो we can get our papers published. It is not that difficult, but certainly it is not that easy as well. Okay, so we need to put some efforts. Okay, I hope with this you know now how to publish your paper in UGC care and Scopus Index. If you have any query, we can quickly take them.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful presentation again. We were really lucky again to have you on the dais. So,
Ma'am, one question.
about Turnitin and all. Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible. Go ahead.
Okay. Ma'am, in inverted commas, sometimes it actually shows the similarity index, and then automatically the similarity index goes up to 20% or 20, even if I haven't even copied even a single word. But always it happens with me due to the case law's name and
See, what happens with similarity
really
index? Yeah. See, what happens with similarity index? Most of the time, there is an option given in the similarity index software that you can give some words which are very repetitive and which are very generic. For example, INE, the Supreme Court, or was, or this, or that. So we can give a list of these words because they are repetitive words, they are very generic words, and उस पे हमेशा सिमिलैरिटी इंडेक्स आ ही जाता है, तो हम उसको अवॉइड कर सकते हैं. आई टोल्ड यू सम हैक्स. ओके, लाइक यूज द जजमेंट इन अ प्रॉपर वे सो दैट यू पुट इन्वर्टेड कॉमास. तो जहाँ पे हाईएस्ट पोटेंशियल ऑफ रिपीटेशन होता है, पर्टिकुलरली लीगल रिसर्च करते वक्त, इज कोटिंग द सेक्शंस provisions, etc. So put that in footnotes. Okay, footnote को वैसे ही exclude करते हैं similarity index से, and repetition, use of words,
Name of
use of
the parties when we mention sometimes.
So
Like
if
10%
that is repeatedly, for example, Union of India, State of Maharashtra, so put it under the exception list. Now there is a provision given. Okay, so up to 30 words we can put like repeated words. तो वो हमको exemption देते हैं उसमें. So you have to put that list in that similarity index software. So automatically वो उसमें से निकलता है फिर. नहीं तो even IS, ES, THE, they all will come under similarity index.
Okay, and ma'am, one more question I have, that when you talk about like contemporary issues or something, so there are some topics which are actually very old age topic, but again they are contemporary, like UCC we call like gender equality, which I have choose the topic. So
See,
what
old
about those
topic-
like
whole topic coming up with new perception coming.
okay, ma'am.
Or do that. Okay. So unless and until you provide something very new, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now you are audible actually in between.
Yeah, for some time my internet was not working. So you come up with new thought, it is acceptable. But the same repeated thing, if you are providing, see the journal publishing, the institute, the editorial team, they are not interested in publishing the repeated content. Okay, पिछली बार भी last मैंने कहा ना, last 4 साल के issues देखिए और आपके टॉपिक से रिलेवेंट अगर कोई टॉपिक पे पब्लिकेशन हुआ है तो वो सेम टाइप का अगर आपका है तो फिर थोड़ा चांसेस कम है उसमें एक्सेप्ट होने के. You come up with a new topic there, okay, and then new perspective, then only it will be accepted. Otherwise they will not publish the same content again. So having an old topic is no problem, but it has to come up with new version of understanding.
Ma'am, one question is there. Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Audible, you're audible.
Ma'am, while using the graph for the case loss, as you said, that means to minimize the space for the details of the case loss, then where to write the details of particular case loss means year-wise, if we are using the graph?
See, research is a very subjective thing. You understand that at the very primary level. Now, what is the use of writing that case law in your paper? Sometimes it may be like that case is so fundamental that your whole research revolves around it. Then in such case, you cannot put it in graph. You can only use graph in such cases wherein they are just peripheral to my explanations. That time you can.
Okay. Thank you.
When you feel that it is very important, it needs to be explained, you explain it. Okay. So वो सबका अलग अलग होगा. एक जैसा फॉर्मेट रिसर्च में हम किसी को नहीं यूज कर सकते. You have to identify कि what is the best model which I can use in my research paper.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other?
Ma'am, excuse me.
Yes, go ahead.
Ma'am, due to bad weather, there was a net issue, ma'am. In the meantime, maybe all the PPTs of your today's lecture, please, ma'am.
You will get the recording, sir. The recording will be available on our YouTube channel, so you can see that. No problem.
Okay, madam. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, anybody else? You are not audible, Akash.
Am I audible? Hello.
कौन बोल रहा है पता ही नहीं चल रहा है. I'm not getting.
This is Anjum here. Good afternoon. ma'am.
Okay, Arjun. Yes, Arjun. Please go ahead.
Ma'am, will you please throw a light on I index, H index, impact factor?
See, Dr. Veena Prakash is going to take a lecture. I already told you na, on e-resources availability. So probably at that time she will focus, and I informed her to talk about these aspects as well. So H-index, I-index, she is going to take care. More or less, we don't use that much in legal studies, but now it is a trend. So slowly, eventually, we have started. Identifying H index journal, and then वो सब अभी हमारा impact factor वगैरह हमारे इसमें शुरू हो गया अभी, because now we are also getting part of Web of Science. So she is going to touch, because वो सारा ना थोड़ा detail में आपको समझना पड़ेगा. So I hope she will touch on these issue. If not, then we can discuss it later at some point.
Ma'am, one more question, ma'am, while writing research paper, there are certain norms of the specific journals like Chicago style, then APA style and Blue Book style. If in this lecture series, if we will come to know how to give the specific kind of reference while writing a research paper, so that
See, my sincere advice to you all, see, no teacher will tell you how to write exact footnote in this pattern, because there are thousands of style which is incorporated in one style. Like Blue Book 21st edition, you will get a list like how to quote one author article, two author, three author. So you read that book. ओके जो भी बताए, अगर आपको वो वहां पे आपके लाइब्रेरीज में नहीं अवेलेबल है, मोर और लेस एवरी पब्लिकेशन citation is available in PDF form on the Google. You just put Google में 21st edition Blue Book style of writing, you will get the whole PDF. और काफी NKDL वगैरह में भी मिल जाता है. So it's not a very big thing, and read one article, two article, and keep that with you, that folder, while you writing that article. So as and when a footnote appears, immediately look into there and see कि उसमें क्या कैसे बताया है, and then write. Because you cannot simply expect that your teacher will or your guide will tell you how to write, because there are like thousands of things in one. So 19th edition is different, 20th edition is different, 21st edition is different. Similarly, Chicago pattern is different, MLA pattern is different, so API style is different. So everywhere different styling is there. So better you keep that reference with you and then start writing. So that will be more helpful rather than writing, asking your guide. Don't do that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your kind guidance.
Yes, Ashwini, go ahead.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, go ahead.
Ma'am, actually, I'm having a doubt regarding the plagiarism report, because in 2-3 publications.
Madam, we are going to have one exclusive lecture on plagiarism. So please save your query for that. Okay.
Fine,
so
ma'am.
That will be much better. So just write it down. So we are going to have one plagiarism lecture. So wahan pe you just ask in detail.
So they'll be telling a detailed information regarding that. No, the format and everything.
No, फॉर्मेट तो जो सॉफ्टवेयर आपके इंस्टीट्यूट में यूज करते हैं, जैसे हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी में टर्निटिन है, आपके दीक्षित भूमि में अगर कोई अलग वो लेता होगा फॉर्मेट उनका होगा, तो दे विल गिव यू फ्रॉम दैट फॉर्मेट ओनली. सो योर रिसर्च सेंटर विल टेक केयर ऑफ दैट. They will provide you with the format and everything. And above all, I can tell you कितना भी वेरी करेंगे ना, बट फिर भी दे नीड टू फॉलो इनफ्लिपनेट का फॉर्मेट. सो मोर और लेस इट विल बी रिलेटेड विद इनफ्लिपनेट फॉर्मेट.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Any other question? Last question, Padma madam.
Good afternoon.
Okay, last question if anybody has.
Ma'am, there are few questions in the chat box.
Yeah. Yes, Netra, go ahead.
Ma'am, there are few questions in the chat box. So you want me to read it for you, or ma'am?
Yeah, wait. I'll just check in the chat box. Wait. UGC Care or any other platform for publication. UGC Care is expected, that is the standard platform, and I will request you all, because you all are research scholar and it is assumed and presumed that you are doing the best version of research. So go for UGC publication, and UGC Care list is already published. Every year it is revised, it is published on UGC website. So see to it. Identify the journal, then start writing, follow the footnote, follow the index, and then apply. Okay. और एनी अदर प्लेटफॉर्म फॉर पब्लिकेशन नहीं वो यूजीसी केयर में ही सारी लिस्ट के नाम है, तो आप वहीं से देख सकते हो. व्हाट इज द रेफरिंग स्टाइल? यूजीसी डज नॉट हैव अ रेफरिंग स्टाइल. इट इज द स्टाइल which is adopted by that respective journal, this thing. So they will have their own style and they mention it in the guidelines. So just look into those guidelines, what style, pattern, font, margins they are telling us, and follow that. Ma'am, will the university be providing the scholars with remote access to any or some of the resources? For our student, we have already given Manupatra access, but that is like here you come and take. Remote access NKDL का है, but वो बहुत limited access मिलता है हमारे students को. हाँ, अगर वो यहाँ की library में जाते हैं तो there they get a full access. So similarly, maybe Diksha Bhumi is having some mechanism for providing access to e-resources to their scholars. तो होगा वहाँ पे भी कुछ. यहाँ पे free access है, but in department and in the Narasimha library, and then remote access only for NKDL, and that too very limited.
Thank you, ma'am.
Scopus is also there, which is also very limited. Yes, citation style differs from person to person. In Nagpur University PhD thesis, we follow the ILI pattern of footnoting. Just write it down. Indian Law Institute pattern of footnoting. Okay.
Okay.
Any other question? दूसरा भी लेक्चर खत्म हो जाएगा.
Actually it is 3:37, ma'am.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
I think thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful and informative lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So get your publication done and let us know where you published it. Okay, we'll be very happy. हमारे students को तो हम बोलते रहते हैं, but Diksha Bhumi students, you also start focusing on publication of your papers in some good UGC care journal. Okay, कुछ हमारे students अभी almost कर चुके हैं, किसी का in process है, किसी को acceptance आ गया है, so they are working, I think, but you also start working. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ma'am, how to write a research paper? This was such a relevant topic for all of us. And now this, I must say that it was one of the most relevant and very useful topics for all the research scholars. So thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us the guidance and speaking about such a relevant topic. Now, with the kind permission of yours, ma'am, we would proceed with the further next session. Yes, ma'am. For the next session, we do have with us Dr. Girish Kulkarni, sir. He's an assistant professor, PGTD of Law, RTMNU. Do we have Girish sir here? Girish sir? Participants are requested to please mute their mic so that we are able to hear the speaker. Pawan sir, can you please mute yourself? Pawan sir? Padma madam?
Yes.
Girish sir?
Sir, we are not able to hear you, sir.
Pawan, just mute your mic. All the other participants are requested to please mute their mic so that we can hear the speaker.
I think sir has joined the meeting, but just wait a minute. Just wait.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are
Yes, sir.
audible now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Padma ma'am, am I visible as well? No.
Yes,
No,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
No,
sir. You
sir.
are visible. Sir, yes. To you are visible. I can see you, sir.
Okay. Okay, so it's an impromptu interaction again with all of you. With reference to the topic that I was assigned today, it is related to freedom of speech and expression, technology, accessibility, and disability. Thus, technology has changed, influenced interaction of right to speech and expression. And to what extent does we have change, we have difference in the human rights as well. Manuel, the document that internationalized human rights as such, earlier it was known as the natural rights, but it was precisely after the 1950, the Declaration of UDHR and then human rights and many other things uh, started to be part of mainframe legal system. We focused on the human rights as such, but earlier there was natural rights which was going along with the natural law. Once we adopted human rights, we believed that these are the rights of human being without doing anything. These are not the rights given by the legal system. These are not the rights given by any other contract. These are not the rights as a grace of any power. But these are rights just because you are human, just because you are born or yet to born. So these human rights, when we started to acknowledge in the legal system, you find that the rights also evolved along with the technology. For example, if you look at the religious texts to some extent, around 1000 years or 1500 years ago, all the religions, all the cultures, you find the disability is a part of charity or social liability or a kind of liability of others, the persons with disabilities, because the contribution that is to be made by persons with disability was not significant to the society, neither the structure of the society was equipped enough for persons with disability to participate and to contribute. Then how the technology has changed this system, the changed this graph. Firstly, due to the medical technology, firstly, a lot of cures, a lot of assistance has been provided. Most of the people are able to work with the visual aids. The very common is a spectacle. Almost everyone after 40s has to wear the specs. It is definitely a contribution of technology, but it is very old one. So technology have started to increase the capacity of a human being. Technology has started to increase the capacity of access in social participation. Then the question arises, does the technology also have impacted upon the expression of speech or freedom of expression itself? We have to give answer to this question. It does, and to what extent technology has impacted freedom of speech and expression. The answer to this question is in very strong affirmative. But as every change comes with solution to earlier problems, but also creates new problems for future to solve. Every change comes as a solution to earlier problem, but creates new problems for future to solve. See what is the meaning of this phrase that I used. Thus, we are able to express in better way. Why I referred accessibility here, try to understand. See, unless you are able to reach to the people, we are not able to express ourselves. We are not able to speak to them. It is not only about the disability, but even for everyone in the world, accessibility have increased due to technology. Why it is possible for the retired persons to find their classmates when they was in primary schools today, just searching by their names on Facebook or Instagram. Now they are able to connect, they are able to have interactions. Does your scope has increased? Does your reach has increased? Does your access of information has increased? Answer is of course positive. So we have to find out what problems the technology have solved for us and what new problems the technology has created for us with reference to speech and expression, with reference to accessibility, and to some extent for disability as well. See, when the question of speech and expression is arised, it's not that the Constitution of India has the original creator of this concept. No, this right was still present in earlier legal systems as well. In one or the other way, in USA it was there in the form of freedom of press. In ancient India also it would have been. But the question is, freedom of speech and expression have been more significant for the legal system which is democratic one. In a legal system which is not democratic, freedom of speech and expression is not significant, or the legal system where freedom of speech and expression deteriorates, it the legal systems slowly ceased to be the democratic one. There are examples in the recent history as well, or the ancient history as well, how the states have shifted from democratic to the monarchy, from dictatorials and again dictatorials to the democratic ones. The process is very extensively influenced by technology. The person who introduced propaganda to the mainstream politics, Goebbels, I hope you might have heard his name, the propaganda minister of Nazi regime. He has used the technology to reach the views of his state, and so impressively he was able to use that even the opponents was confused by him. We are talking around 1930 and beginning of the Second World War. The soldiers who was been standing against the German was of strong belief that war is not going to happen. War is not going to happen. This belief has been created successfully by Germans in the minds of French soldiers. Why? Because of the communication technology they had at that time. The way communication technology was controlled and utilized. That's precisely. Of course, the sources was limited, the means was limited, but in the system we are living in, see, just before 30 years, the whole media was controlled by television channels, and that also very few ones. We do not have multiple channels for the television. Absolute monopoly. They don't have only few offices used to decide what programs needs to be telecasted and what not. That's why we have multiple cases like Indira Jaising versus Doordarshan, or there may be a case of Satyam Shivam Sundaram versus Union of India, or many others, where we find that the expression was very strongly controlled by the bureaucratic influences. But due to the technological revolution, we cannot have the pre censorship. See, still today, if we want to publish a film, we require certification from censor board. Nowadays they have changed the method also, but still pre-censorship is still there before publishing a commercial cinema. We do not require any kind of censor before publishing the videos that we are conducting on our channel, where we can reach instantly to whoever wanted to see us, watch us. This is change, but this is a solution to the existing problem. The problem was method of communication was strongly controlled by the controlled bureaucratic influences. And due to this, methods of communication was not available to the general people. Today we can make a Facebook live. Today we can make a post on Instagram or Twitter for that matter, or thread, which can be viraled, and if get viraled can reach to the crores of people once. This is a solution. This is a solution to the earlier problem that we was not. See, imagine if we want to make a statement on Twitter today, it can reach to the thousands of people instantly. How much time would have required 30 years ago to reach to those same 1,000 people? We don't know. It may be 1 month or 2 months or might be a year. So the speed of connectivity has increased for the speech and expression. Effectiveness of the expression has also increased. But as I have mentioned, sorry, hello, sorry, okay. So we was saying that the connectivity has increased, which is a solution to the earlier problem. But the question remains, What new problems this system has created? One more thing. As I told you, we are not only discussing the influence of technology. See, when we rely on the speech and expression, it is in wider terms, it's a matter of communication. When we are speaking about in disabilities, particularly sensory disability, disability with hearing impairment, speech disability, we cannot communicate in regular manner. Try to understand this. The medium of ordinary communication are not working in this area. Then, does technology have changed their ability of participation? Yes, the interventions are there available. See, if there are new apps are developed which can convert your words into text, they can be read and answer in text can be given. There are some possible changes that where the gestures can be utilized for the communication, the language of gestures, sign language. It's a technological invention, mind well. Sign language is a technological invention. Let us go little beyond that. Braille was developed around 70 or 80 years ago. Prior to that, there was no possibility of reading for person who is not able to see. But does Braille has solved the problems? It has solved to some extent, but again, Braille is extremely voluminous. It cannot be available for all the books. It cannot be possible to be communicated and to be available to everyone. It is expensive as well. Then what is the use of technology here? What is the role of technology? See, you can very much experience the change that technology have made when we frame the constitution. We have framed non-discrimination clause. The clause says no person shall be discriminated on the basis of race, caste, sex, religion, place of birth. But the framers was not able to add another criteria of discrimination, that is disability. Mind well, this was not their mistake. It was not added there because at the time of framing of constitution, the circumstances and technology was not such that persons with disability can participate in the society at equal level with others. Technology was certainly not available and neither accessible for PWDs. Forget about technology, we do not have the transport mechanism itself. We have to walk for kilometers and mid kilometers just in order to reach to the schools, in order to reach to the bus stations. Means I heard from some earlier people that they used to walk at least 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers just in order to reach to the bus station. And how can we imagine the person who is suffering with locomotive disability will cover that distance and then pick that motor reach to the district, then enter into the high school. It's highly impossible. But nowadays, due to the reach of technology, we are able to connect our information with the people who are not able to exercise it earlier. So the technology have increased the capacity of persons with disability to an extent that they can participate at equal level with others. Yes, absolute equality is nowhere possible in the world. Even persons without disability are not equal. They are also different. They suffer social disability. Some suffer with economic disability, and many others. Some suffers emotional disability. Yes, that's very serious one. Though it's not a recognized disability under RPD Act, but these disabilities have been started to be reduced due to the intervention of technology. Then the question arises, what are the challenges? What are the new problems created by technology? See, when we want to express ourselves, the purpose of expression is to communicate and to participate in the society. Due to technology, we can be witness to the proceedings of parliament. Does parliament is discussing anything which is in the interest of nation, just not to allow the conduct of business or not to conduct the business, both ways? Is it in the interest of this country? Can we ask our children, students, to watch parliamentary proceeding as an assignment? They will say it is equivalent to a scene in a fish market. Why? Because they are misusing the immunities which they are ensured inside the parliamentary halls by wasting, throwing into the ashes crores of rupees paid by the taxpayers of this. Next button, 31%. But what is the use of technology? 41. The whole of the country is able to witness how the insincere parliamentarians are. 90. Meeting is the status is communicated as it is to the members of this country. Now, second part about the accountability. The problem of speech and expression is absence of accountability. For example, see, when we speak in domestic discussion, when we speak at a public forum, when we discuss in the classroom, when we discuss in a workshop, or when we discuss in any public meetings or gatherings, or when we speak on any digital platform, see who is speaking and to whom they are addressing, both are identified. Who are identified, who is speaking, and to whom they are addressing. The modern medium of communication is that, okay, so we have WhatsApp, we have Telegram, we have multiple other media where one to one or one to few direct communication is possible. But still, there are mediums where no one-to-one or one-to-few communication is required. Many times persons can speak something, write something, post something, paste some video or some photograph through an anonymous account. I have a big question here. Does speech and expression ensure you anonymity of expression? And if it is anonymous, to whom exactly right to express is exercised? For whom exactly right to express is exercised? When we are dealing with an anonymous expression, and then there is a, it's a very, say, whenever we speak about past we can speak with very clarity, but when we speak about present the clarity is missing. We can say that Goebbels has a propaganda minister, he has manipulated the opinions of people, but what is happening today? Does these existing mediums of speech and expression are beneficial or they are misleading? Why we need to shut down the internet whenever the disturbance arises? The answer is very obvious, that instead of helping us, the human tendency is to misuse the means of communication for wrongful purposes. That's why we have to shut down the mediums of communication just to control the situation, just to understand and to prevent anything bad happening. Argument is currently nowadays many times that right to internet, right to high speed and affordable internet should be part of fundamental right. If I asked you this question, where will you try to locate this right into the constitutional part 3? Right to have a affordable and high speed internet connection. It is not a right now. It is not currently accepted, acknowledged as a fundamental right in India. But if at all we want to make an argument for this, does Article 19(1)(a) is sufficiently wide enough to acknowledge this right? Because right to circulation of your newspaper, right to remain silent, right to have silence, these are treated as a part of freedom of speech and expression. So, with respect to same thing, can we say right to have anonymity is also part of freedom of speech and expression? What is anonymity? Means we need not to share our own name, we need not to share the original identity. We can create a fake account and then express our own bhadas over the social media. It happens many times. We know some people who are very patient, who are very mannerful in their practical behavior, in their daily behavior, but sometimes their comments may be very violent. Why it happens? Does the online media is creating an alternative personality? Does online personality is different from the original personality? Are we creating an alternative reality? And therefore, are we creating an alternative reality of speech and expression? Let me ask you here, does speech and expression realizes exist in the real world or it exists only in the virtual world? Or it's a interaction of real and virtual world? Today, this question appears to be very introductory, but after 50 years, we will have a reality where we will not able to understand which is real physical and which is virtual physical, which is artificial physical. So in that kind of scenario, we have to acknowledge some problems here. Does the online platforms are sufficiently controlled with reference to their content? Because freedom of speech and expression is again not unregulated, it is controlled by Article 19.2. The question arises, what is the mechanism? See, for a cinema, you require censor certificate, but if you want to publish a web series on the online platform, again, do you require it? There is a possibility that inappropriate content is reached to the hands of our children. Misleading content is also reaching to the hands of children. Their power of judgment is going to influence due to these reasons. And when we are creating a kind of chaotic mindset, to what extent freedom of speech and expression is a pious right? Many people says that there is an ideology called as an absolutist. Elon Musk many times says that I am an absolutist. Means I believe in an absolute freedom of expression, though it may be against me, though it may be detrimental to me, but I believe there should be an absolute freedom. It's not my sentence, it's his sentence. But will he going to allow you to promote a competitive method of communication? Twitter has taken down the account of other platforms from its own site because they want to reduce the competition. They don't want allow to use their platform for the advertisement of other platforms. Where is the absolutist behavior? And again, the question arises: does technology will allow? Mind well. Other question is that whether technology will allow speech and expression to be controlled only by the state, or it will also be now controlled by the private parties. See, because the medium of communication are controlled and owned by the private parties. If you want to make a video, you have a video channel on the YouTube, and you want to express your anger against your beloved neighbor who used to claim many times that India is trying to destabilize their country. That state, that country, if you have expressed your anger, see what will happen. Where I want to focus. Your video may be liked, may be watched by thousands of people, but it will also be reported by the persons residing in the Pakistan. Now the one big benefit of your video is monetization. Your video is monetized, then you receive the advertisement, and if you receive the advertisement, you receive the some revenue from it. But because your video has been reported by the Pakistanis, they may be wrong in the reporting, but they will report because you spoke against them. Now, your monetization stopped. And if YouTube thinks they will also take down your video, where is your speech and expression? Where are you going to claim your speech and expression? Demonetization of your video, can it be called as violation of your speech and expression? It is not. Your video is still there, but it is not allowed to you have the benefits of advertisement. Then these are the questions, new questions that arise with the technology. Just at the beginning, I told you, changes always comes as a solution to the problems which existed, but also creates new problems for future to solve. As I have mentioned, the technology have changed the medium of access for the disabilities. At this point, look at what we were speaking. For speech, the devices are enormous nowadays. Just 30 years have made a revolution. 30 years ago, all the content that was available, either it was in the hard copy or it was in the very heavy video cassettes. But nowadays, the text is available online, internet, devices, reading devices. So many availabilities are there, but still, hurdles also comes with it. Accessibility is a solution for disability because accessibility is increasing. But mind well, this is not a cure. It's a solution to the some problems because we are in the process of journey. We are in journey of evolution. Technology will also evolve. We will find today's technology as redundant after just 20 years. The way we find today the use of landline as redundant. After 20 or 25 years, we don't know what kind and what level of technology we will be using, and then what will be the new challenges. Technology will definitely come as a solution, but also will create new problems. It's a cycle. Hegel, a German philosopher, I like to quote, he says, the world moves in a cyclic motion. The problem is created, the solution is provided in the form of thesis. Thesis means a principle, a kind of proposition. That thesis creates a changes in the society. And due to the
You are
changes,
not audible.
hello, hello, hello.
You audible?
Hello, sir.
Hello, hello. Am I audible?
Yes,
sir.
yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
You are audible, sir.
Yes, sir, you're audible. You're
Yes, sir,
audible.
you are
Right
audible.
now you're audible, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I hope I was able to communicate with you until now.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I was speaking about Hegel. So Hegel has provided us with a thought that society moves in a cycle. There is a cyclic progress. He said, for any problem, any kind of trouble, we provide a thesis. Thesis which creates disturbances, changes in the existing system. And when the disturbances are created, those who suffers due to thesis, they try to oppose it, and it is called as antithesis. Why thesis is created? Thesis is created to solve the problem, but by solving a problem, antithesis is created. And both are working at the same time. But this thesis and antithesis, when they are working against each other, either they will solve the problem but which does not happen many times, but they evolve, both together evolve with the circumstances and created a synthesis. Thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. This synthesis stabilizes the ripples and disturbance. Whenever new problem arises, a solution of thesis is again proposed. The cycle gets complete. Thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Again thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. The same philosophy we can find out here. We was struggling, the common man was struggling, the persons, even the disabled was also struggling to communicate, effectively communicate. Technology came as a solution. Technology has solved the problem of communication to some extent, but also created a problem of anonymity, problem of unaccountability, problem of insensitivity about each other. Changes are still going on. What are the changes? What are the problems with accessibility? Accessibility has a problem that either it is not completely suitable, it creates hurdle in the working process sometimes. Sometimes persons without disability cannot work with accessibility. So we will come with the probable solution, but mind well, in the history we are having the unique privileges, things which was not available to earlier influential persons also we are able to experience today. Was Samrat Chandragupta was able to speak with one of his soldiers thousands kilometers away. The Emperor of India was not able to do that. We are able to do that today. We are able to exercise, enjoy better communication than him. But at the same time, we are also facing better problems of anonymity. Even the opinion, see how strong this communication is. What are the challenges of speech and communication, that our neighboring countries can get the whole information for the country, for Bharat, their people, their behavior, their diet, their likings, their thoughts, their views, and manual, it is so dangerous in a democratic society, because the minds of people can be influenced by the medium of speech and communication, expression. So it's a very big question. Does technology have improved speech and expression, or it has deteriorated the quality of speech and expression as such? But in order to answer the question, it always remains in the minds of rationality of human beings. And whenever rationality prevails, the technology is utilized for betterment of human values, democratic values, for which we find speech and expression as a solution. And again, the technology will itself will be solution for the new developments to solve the existing problem. The problem of anonymity, again technology will come with a solution. For the problem of irrational behavior on online medium, technology will come with solution. So with this, I like to conclude today's session. And if you have any questions, it was a sudden. I have not prepared, not thought of it, but anyway, I'm thankful to the organizers. They gave me an opportunity again to share some things about the current trends. See, about the speech and expression, there is a very very big challenge right now. That if we are able to create an artificial conscience, I'm not saying artificial intelligence only. I'm saying an artificial conscience. Will that artificial conscience will also claim speech and expression of their own? Whether artificial intelligence can claim they have speech and expression. Does human rights needs to be expanded after 20 or 25 years, even to include rights of artificial conscience also? These are the things which the legal system will have to work out in the future. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. The floor is open for the questions.
Uh, it is little bit, I'll increase the sound. Yeah.
Participants, do you want to ask any questions?
Sir, good evening, sir. Uh, you you referred to the fact that disability was not covered when the constitution was drafted.
Uh, just, yeah. Continue.
Right. Yes, sir. So now my question is, do you think that as far as disability is concerned, the rights of disabled are concerned, no doubt there are laws, but can we revisit the constitutional document should the parliament by exercise of legislative power, by exercise of constituent power, incorporate something of that sort to protect the interest of disabled people?
Uh, will you like to tell the name, your name, please?
Chetan. Chetan,
Chetan.
sir.
Okay, so Chetan, with respect to amendment in the clause 1 of Article 15, or with respect to amendment in the clause 2 of Article 16, or clause 2 of Article 29,
Yes, sir.
uh, amendment, it's a question of whether it will be sufficient. That's the precise. Many suggestions was already made that there should be an amendment. The problem is disability comes with a natural limitation. So many
Right.
times the question, the cases that we have until today, Supreme Court relied upon Article 14 for the sake of equality for PWDs.
Okay.
So, but yes, you are correct. Until we had that Act of 1995,
Yes, sir.
disability was a valid ground of disqualification.
Hmm.
Valid ground of disqualification from the government service. UPSC was having the rule that person with this much disability are not entitled to even compete. Forget about selection.
Yes, sir.
Not only this, further, uh, what is you are saying, I think in the future this will be considered, because if you say that disability should not be a ground of discrimination,
Yes.
then it will be create a positive obligation on the state to ensure participation of disabled at the public stages. Of course,
Right.
nowadays we find, due to the RPD Act, our stations, our railway stations or airports, some high value areas are getting accessible, but still the accessibility is not reached to the yeah, what we can economically weaker the disabled today. So, but again, what will happen if you incorporate disability into Article 15? Suppose we say added the word, but still the question arises that wherever there is a natural limitation, you cannot like in the armies, you cannot incorporate persons with visual impaired
Right. Right.
in a combat role. Yeah, they
Yes,
can
sir.
be incorporated in intellectual
Administrative.
processes, but there will be certain natural limitations also. That's why I think it is difficult. Means both arguments are being advanced. One in the favor of adding disability there, and one in the favor of not adding disability there. But your point have merit, because due to this, I can give you an example. Medical Council of India,
Yes.
today, until today, they have guidelines that they prevent persons with visual impaired
Uh-huh.
to be allowed to take admission in medical course. Forget about
Okay.
getting pass. They
Mhm.
even are not ready to allow them admission. And there will be interesting to know. That's why I told you your point have a merit, because if you have a disability as in the clause 15, then Medical
Mhm.
Council of India would be unconstitutional to do so.
Right, sir. Right.
Not only this, the JMFC, judiciary, in their
Yes.
advertisement, in the bold letters says blinds are not eligible to compete or fill the
Right.
form. This advertisement could have been declared unconstitutional.
Yes.
So this addition is necessary definitely, but arguments are in the favor of addition also, and arguments are there
Against.
against also. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
So we have a few more questions in the chat box. With your kind permission, can I proceed?
Yes, please read it.
Okay, there is a question from Mr. Ankit. Do you feel that there is still much more gap between legal definition and social definition of disabilities? How the world can grow more better?
Okay, so we have to understand the question first. Trying to ask the difference between legal understanding. Definition, I think I will like to modify the word definition with understanding, because definition is very conservative word, but legal understanding of disability and the social understanding of disability. And then the next part of the question is how to make the world better. Okay. So the
Yes,
first
sir.
part, when the difference is there, see, social understanding is not developed by any directions, by any prescriptions of law. They are developed with the social experiences. Unless and until social infrastructure we are not able to sufficiently change, where society will experience participation of disabled into the mainstream, their understanding is not going to change that much. And this is a reality. For example, 70 years or let us say 100 years ago, the persons who are suffering the backwardness due to the social disadvantages, it was a dominant saying that they are not able to work intellectual with intellectual things and so on and so forth. They cannot compete. But when they get an opportunity to participate, they was of course suffering multiple disadvantages. They don't have the money, they don't have the resources, they was struggling with even their family issues, they was struggling with the social issues, the insults, the inferiority treatment. But still, after 100 years, we found there is a change, at least in the urban areas. The level of social discrimination has been reduced to a large extent. The similar way, it is very recent, just 10 to 20 years, when the sensitization has begun at a top level. That sensitization is slowly perforating to the roots nowadays. But in order to change the social perception in to be in line with the legal perception, I think we require 50 to 100 years more. Secondly, the persons who are sitting in the bureaucracy, they themselves are part of society. See, try to understand. Those who frame the law, they may frame the law with the rationality, but those who implement the law, they have social perceptions. So we require some time frame to evolve. Now, coming to your second question, how to make the world better? I think we cannot make the world better. We can make ourselves better to contribute better in the society. That is the only way where we can start the change to make the world better. For example, I'll give you a very small example for this. See, when the road is prepared, the road also had the footpaths. Until and unless we have this sense, footpath should be available to walk for the pedestrians. See, who are there in the pedestrians? Small children, old age people, women, young people who are working, who are not working, and disabled as well. Does these footpaths are required only for disabled? No. But here, if these footpaths are really available in good condition, what is good condition? Use of footpath like roads for walking, not for riding the bike. In roads, we don't have the obstacles. Our footpaths are, I think, they're only the compounds of roads, I think, not more than that. The boundaries of roads are defined by footpaths today. So, in order to make the world better, very small things needs to be changed, and I think after a very long time, we will have some better place to live.
Thanks, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Okay.
We have another question in the chat box. Can
Yeah.
I go ahead?
Yeah. Continue.
Okay. The question is, Mr. Rajesh, the question is the right of the media to report freely and without censorship the proceedings of Parliament and state legislature?
I understood the question as whether it is the right of a media to publish the proceedings of Parliament, and what was the next part?
Uh, uh, Sir, I'll read again the question. Is the right of the media to report freely and without censorship the
Okay.
proceedings of Parliament and state legislature?
Here, see, you have to understand. Firstly, there are some immunities given to the members of Parliament and state legislature. I'll just forgot since this is out of context. I was not able to recall that case. Once what happened, in the year 1964 around, the Speaker of Lok Sabha has expunged some comments of some member of parliaments from Bihar. I hope I am audible. Hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, some member of parliament has made a very derogatory statements, and the speaker has expunged that part from the proceedings of the house. Now, one editor of I think Hindustan Times at the time was also present in the gallery of the Parliament House. So he was witness to that particular speech, and definitely he has taken the notes of it, and he has published that so person has spoken these things in the house. Now here, editor of the Hindustan Times suffered a petition, suffered a punishment from the Speaker of Lok Sabha because Speaker has expunged that particular speech from the recordings of the House. It means that does not exist. It has not been spoken. It has not happened. And when something has not happened, you don't have right to publish it. Are you getting it? So the media is definitely have a right to publish, but does not have a right of uncensored publication of the telecast. Censorship lies with the speaker. Second, does they have right to telecast with the freely? Of course, the government cannot force them to publish. Neither they can prevent them to publish, except the authorities of speaker or the chairman of Rajya Sabha as such. Hello.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there is one more question. Before that, I'll just request Dr. Ravindra Ingole, sir, to mute themselves because there is lots of disturbance which is happening. Ravindra, sir? Ravindra Ingole, sir, can you mute yourself, please? Dr. Ravindra Ingole, sir, can you mute yourself, please? There is lots of disturbance which is coming, so we are unable to hear, sir, properly. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. Another question is, sir.
Yes.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes, sir. From Mr. Vinay Borkar, what will be the consequences if artificial conscious have right to express?
Right
And
to?
before right to express.
Access.
Express.
Express. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I
So
think.
just followed. This question is followed by one more question previous to this.
Yes, continue.
There he has mentioned, Vinay sir has mentioned that I think one robo got citizenship in Arabic countries, and it may expand on person jurisprudence, artificial conscious, and human conscious. So this is what he wants your opinion on that particular question, sir. And this is followed by the next question.
Yeah. You talk about the Sophia who got personality in Saudi Arabia, if I'm not making wrong, if my memory is helping me.
Yes.
That Sophia has received the citizenship in Saudi Arabia. But with respect to the jurisprudence that is here, person is one who are entitled to rights and who can perform liabilities. Person means personality can be given to whom? Personality can be given to the that thing who had certain rights and who can perform some liabilities. Now coming to the artificial, we are talking about different. See, artificial conscious is not yet evolved. The conceptually also it is at a very nascent stage. To some extent we have a generative AI, ChatGPT and XYZ, but that generative AI, do they have right to express? uh, Firstly, can they perform liabilities? In order to answer your question, we have to answer another question. If somebody has some rights, it is necessary they should have some liabilities. There are few exceptions to it, of course, the rights of unborn child, rights of the children, rights of the idols of temple. They have also rights, but they don't have any liabilities as such. But can we apply this philosophy, this argument to the artificial conscience? So, at least till today's legal system, artificial personality can be admitted. For example, the Sophia can be given the citizenship. But every right comes with natural necessity. Unless and until the necessity is created for it in the natural process of human being. See, artificial intelligence is also natural evolution. Why we require artificial intelligence? Because we want to work fast, we want to work with simplicity, and we want to avoid the repetitiveness. So we created artificial intelligence. It is the product of natural necessity. When the product of natural necessity is that that artificial intelligence has to secure some rights, then the rights can be given. But as on now, today, the system is that unless we have servers running and the servers work network is available, artificial intelligence cannot exist. Yes, the question will be, does artificial intelligence will develop emotions in the future? And if it does really develops emotions, then the question of rights will be significant. And I think at that stage, the reality will be very much different. Means we are not yet imagined to comprehend what will be the reality when artificial intelligence will have emotions. When they will have emotions, I think the right will have to be given to them also. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Thank you. So that is my perception, but yet this is a hypothetical question because yet the things has to evolve. uh, some generative answers can be created, but we are in a very nascent stage of artificial intelligence. That's why I told you it's unimaginable. Today, the technology that we find today will be absolutely redundant after 25 years, and we will living in something different reality, different world at altogether. At that time, whether the technology will also receive the personality and therefore the technology will also have a human rights, I think we will have to use again the word natural rights. And then it will not be rights of human only, it will be rights of anything and everyone who can exist. Thank you.
So very wonderfully explained. Well, there are no more questions in the chat box now. So anybody wants to ask some more questions to sir? Okay. So I consider this that there are no more questions.
Sir, may I ask
Yes.
a simple question, sir? It may sound ridiculous at the PhD
No,
level.
continue.
Sir,
No,
actually,
it's
the
not.
Article 19
Yeah, continue.
says about freedom of speech and expression. And the right up to express one view, expression means the right to express one's views and opinions on any issues through any medium. That may be through speech, or drawings, paintings, drama, play, acting, singing, through even placards also. So, sir, apart from if speech is also part of expression, so why the framers of the constitution they have inserted a specifically the speech word along with the expression words? That is very simple question.
Okay. See, I will not be able to give the perfect answer, maybe, but see, when at the time of framing of this constitution, all was the lawyers, and they have experiences how the law is the subject of interpretation when some vague and wide words are used. Now, speech is definitely a part of expression, but this is not a right of expression alone, because prominently the right is exercised through speech. Because you know that most of the freedom fighters have exercised, and there was a limitation on their speech itself. Means they was been arrested, they was been either prosecuted for their speeches, and so on. So speech was very significant here. But I think it is most probably because of the manner in which the phrase is used, speech and expression. Otherwise, you find the same right as a freedom of press in USA. There is no phrase, speech and expression. Still, it is evolved from freedom of press itself. So, and we have freedom of speech and expression. So, freedom of press is a part of it. To be more rational with it, general, I'm going with a general idea, though textually or definition wise, speech is also an expression, but expression is generally wordless, without the use of words, either by gestures or in the form of some sculptures or in the form of some paintings or dance or music. Generally, non-verbal communication is called expression and verbal communication is called as speech. But again, this is a general perception. No, what we can say, definition or dictionary meaning is given to it. That I think probable.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions? Okay, all right. Padma ma'am, can I proceed further with the vote of thanks?
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of our department, that is the PGTD of Law, we thank you, our sir, that you have come to rescue us and have taken the session in such a short notice. Indeed, hearing you and Payal ma'am is pleasure for us, and your words and your guidance definitely enlighten us. And so we thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. And over to you, Padma ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. On
Thank you.
behalf of all the students, I really want to thank you, sir.
Thank you for all listening patiently.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so friends, we will meet tomorrow. Thank you for joining.
Thank you all of you. Today we can conclude today's session here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.